Hello, everybody. Just2G here, and welcome to the second anniversary of the end of Pruett Family Legacy. So, what we're going to do to kick things off is I got a request from one of you. You know who you are. I am going to read the first and the last chapter, as well as some random chapter that I like. And I have been requested to add some sort of commentary to my reading. That person knows me very well, so she knows what she's doing. Anyway, so yeah, I'm going to do that. I want to forewarn you, though, that I tend to read kind of enthusiastically because I actually don't like reading out loud, but reading out loud is something I have to do in my life a lot, especially in my own writing life. So the way I get around it is to make it fun for myself. So, I tend to be very enthusiastic. I might do some voices. Who knows? Anyway, it's bound to be entertaining. So kick back, relax, get yourself some popcorn maybe, or Twizzlers, and enjoy the show. Yeah, we'll go with that. Okay, here we go. Chapter 1, Generation 1. New life. The first couple of days after I left home were life-changing, and not in a good way. I didn't go very far. I just went to the next town over. It was so close to home that I could actually run into my mom here. I hope I didn't. Oh, I hoped I didn't. At least I wasn't ready to face her at that time. I spent my first days living it up. You know how young knuckleheads do. You're a knucklehead. Most nights I got so drunk I just passed out wherever I was. But some nights the reality of my situation would hit. And in those moments I remembered that I was homeless. Night after night I walked the streets of Willow Creek as if it were going to change my situation. Or as if someone would notice me and take me in. And yes, at times, the thought of just fixing things with my mom and going back home crossed my mind. But I was determined to prove her wrong, and I stayed away. I was so determined to prove her wrong, I stayed away. I slept everywhere, outside, the gym, the library. I was miserable. One day, I was jogging through a very wealthy neighborhood, and I saw a beautiful plot of land for sale. I thought it was strange that a piece of land so large and in such a nice neighborhood will be empty. I tried to forget about it, but it stayed with me. I went to the library to look it up. It turned out that it was the largest plot of residential property in the whole town. On top of that, it was only $10,000. I can actually afford that, I said to myself. I thought about it for a few days. Ran past it a few times. One night I visited it and I thought to myself, wouldn't it be funny if I bought this land, built a house, and had the most successful family in town? The next day, I found myself in City Hall receiving the deed to my land. Remember when I said that I wasn't stubborn, but I was ambitious? Hold on. So, you guys might remember from the after party videos that I said this was my first Simlit experience. Didn't know Simlit was even a thing. But you also know that this was not my first attempt at this particular story. A few weeks before this, I started the legacy, but things happened. I had some corrupted files. I lost that save. I was about 6 chapters into that story on Tumblr, and but these two stories aren't the same. These aren't even the same guy. I mean, it's the same sim, but the two characters were different. The other Xavier was very mature and responsible, and this guy is a knucklehead. But I'm making references to these things that aren't even referenced yet, and I I don't know why. I mean, like, even though I'm a fan of just starting in the middle of some action, like this story does, it kind of, I don't know. I mean, you guys seem to like it, but I'm reading this now and I'm like, what is he talking about? Like, remember when I said I was ambitious or whatever? I think I know this is referring to another chapter that's like 5 chapters away, the one that's like the pre-story. Let's actually look at that real quick. Yeah, 1, 2, it's like it's 4 chapters away. But the reason why this exists now is because this was an afterthought. Like, I had this story in my head, when I wrote the first chapter, but I didn't write it. But I made references to it. Um, my mom always told me that I was hard headed. I don't agree. I say that I'm determined, ambitious, even. Yeah, I know what I want and I go after it. And I don't stop till I get it. I don't know why this is not the first chapter, honestly. I cannot answer that for you. Well, except knowing that it was an afterthought. Oh, why? Why? Well, anyway, if that confused any of you, I'm very sorry. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Remember when I said that I wasn't stubborn? No. But I was ambitious? No. I didn't waste all my money on parties and booze. I had just enough to buy the land, build a house, build a shoebox house, a bed, and a toilet. When my father died when I was younger, oh, my father died when I was younger and left me a small inheritance. My mom had it in an account for me all these years collecting interest, and she finally gave me access to it as a graduation present. She hoped that I would use it to go to college, but school just wasn't for me. Besides, most of the wealthiest people in the world didn't attend college. I planned to be one of them. After I bought the land and built the house, my world changed. I had something that was mine, and I wanted to take care of it and grow it. I found a job as a tech support agent. I even started scrounging around town for things I could sell to make extra money. I had been tempted to get a credit card to finance some furniture, but that was a terrible idea. Highly successful people don't finance furniture. I decided to be happy and content living debt free and buy things as I could afford them. So, for food, I always made friends with people having picnics. Some weren't that friendly, though. This woman, I remember her. She was like, I don't know what he said to her or she said to him, but it was one of those, what do they call them? Uh, Awkward conversations. I showered at the gym. Things were tight and uncomfortable, but I was finally enjoying life. I had finally become a man. Well, all right then. So that's the first chapter. Now on to the last. I'm going to read the actual last chapter because the epilogue is extra. I mean, it's related to the story, but it's not. I did the epilogue for you guys. It's not part of the story. Oh, that baby. Parenthood was challenging for Jonathan and Skyla, but it wasn't the worst thing they had ever gone through. That's for sure. The late night feedings, poopy diapers, and sleepless nights all earned them XP to unlock the excellent parent achievement. I love that. That's like an inside thing for all of us gamers. Jonathan loved being a father and a husband. Although he had been a husband much longer than he had been a father, adding a child into the mix seemed to validate his husbandry even more. With the maids and all the luxury the Pruett estate afforded them, all he really had to do previously was spend time with Skyla. Now that she had been pregnant, they had a house they actually had to take care of and had real worries. Caring for her took on a whole new meaning, and he embraced it wholeheartedly. I love that she went back to bed, even though the baby was still screaming. As time went on, Jonathan began to view living in that trailer as a blessing than a curse. He realized that while having money had its privileges, it wasn't everything. Without 3 computers, 3 TVs, a gaming rig, a gym, and everything else he was used to having to occupy his time, there was nothing left to do but talk to each other and cherish real quality time. Without all the fancy, expensive, hyper-upgraded appliances, electronics, and plumbing, and money to pay a repair person, Jonathan had to learn to do things he never dreamed he would ever do. In those moments, he hated it and cursed the very existence of cheap things. Poor guy. Look at that face. Look at his face. Oh, man. But at the end of the day, when his head hit the pillow and he counted his blessings, he decided that this entire experience was making him a better man, even if he got electrocuted a few times. Although Jonathan had begun to think favorably upon the situation, that didn't mean he completely accepted it. There were still times when he longed to go outside and take a dip in a pool or simply spend a few hours on the internet in his own house. He laughed to himself in a cynical way when he found himself aching to buy a dishwasher. He never imagined that one day he would have to fret over how to afford something so essential. But in time, he decided to stop lamenting the past and came to fully accept the situation. This life was no longer punishment for his mistakes, but simply his new life, and he loved it. Every day with Skyla and Maya in that trailer was more beautiful than 10 days at the Pruett estate. Aww. This newfound appreciation for life gave him the vigor that he needed to think more rationally and find solutions. The first thing he did was call his old job. They were sorry to hear about him losing the restaurant, but were more than glad to offer him his previous position. When he used to work there, he was very driven because he was there to learn and observe from when he left and went out on his own. Excuse me. But this time was different. He had a deeper purpose for being there. He needed to be there, and he was a better employee than he was the first time. He worked hard, really hard, and earned every simoleon he made. Oftentimes, he came home beat, but with a smile on his face. Let me pause for a second. So, I just thought about how in the first chapter, he said $10,000, but in this chapter and a bunch of previous chapters, it's simoleons. So, like I said, I didn't know about Simlet. I was just writing a story, and, it's natural to write from a human perspective. So, in terms of how we think of things now, the first 4 generations of this story, the Pruetts were humans, pretty much. They talked about dollars and going to college and, all kinds of stuff that didn't exist in the game and still don't. But Around generation 5, you'll probably notice that I stopped using those kinds of references because um, we had this thing on the forums called Symposium for Game Aware Sims. It was like this summer long, well, it wasn't summer, um, winter, spring long event that happened on our blogs where we sent our Sims to each other, and we had these sessions where our Sim selves would attend to learn about, game awareism and stuff like that. Anyway, you know, I had never been a part of a community of simmers before, so all of this was new to me. I didn't know you could choose between having humans and Sims. I mean, the thought about Sims just never, whatever. So, I was like, well, okay, yeah, that makes sense. These are Sims; they're not humans. We don't live the same lives, so okay, all my characters are Sims now. So if you ever notice that difference in the language, that's why. I was still learning, still learning. The second thing he did was plant those flowers he picked that day. It's not that he had forgotten about them. It's just that he was secretly holding out for things to go back to the way they were. It was very well that he waited. He was a different person then. The man he is now was in a better position to appreciate what the lilies could do for him. And also, he was actually excited to add another skill to his ever-growing list of accomplishments. His attitude just keeps getting better and better. Love it. The lilies blossomed and bloomed, giving Jonathan and Skyla the opportunity to make her old house their home. They painted the walls to brighten up the place, prepared a space for Maya, and even created a space for them to hang out outside together. Look at this. Look. So Maya's bed is behind this room divider because, it was a one-bedroom trailer. I bet Maya didn't even remember that time. Those girls, they're not completely entitled, but they don't know much about struggle like their parents do. The warm, arid Oasis Springs air was so pleasant to Jonathan. At times, he would catch himself laughing when he remembered the time he told Skyla as teenagers that if he didn't have to live in the Pruett estate for the rest of his life, he would move to Oasis Springs. Life had a peculiar way of working things out, he guessed. It does, really. This crisis turned blessing in disguise seemed to bring the Pruitts closer together. His sisters often came by to check on him and make sure he was doing okay, and to bond with their new niece. The Pruitts were never the type to compare themselves to each other or anyone else, but it was almost as if that situation put all of them on the same level, not that any of them felt that Jonathan was better than the rest of them. But in a way, Jonathan was now just a regular guy who had to work to live just like everyone else, and that made him more relatable. When Maya's birthday came around, they introduced her to her two cousins, and they all became fast friends. Jonathan loved that he still had the support of his family. He recalled the first thing he ever said to Maya when they brought her home from the hospital. He told her that she would grow up much differently from him, but he took it back. She was going to grow up exactly how he grew up, with love and surrounded by family. Oh, look at this dude. He's growing up. He's a real man. One day, Skyla gave him some incredible news. It was almost like a precious gift from the Watcher as a reward for his stewardship and good attitude towards life. Look at Tony back there. He was spying on him. That's so dirty. That's so dirty. He was ecstatic. They both were. When Skylar went to share the news with Maya, she was not met with the same enthusiasm. Look at her face, though. She's so excited, and Maya's all devastated. She's so beautiful. Being an only child herself, Skylar recognized Maya's hesitation. She was 7 years old and everyone's little princess. Who would want to be dethroned by some loud, smelly, tiny thing? Certainly not Maya. However, underneath the facade of being dethroned was a scared little girl who was afraid of being left out. Skylar knew that and reassured her that bringing another child into the family would not make them love her any less. She told her that she was important and would need her help. That was just the thing Maya needed to hear. Crisis averted. Thank God. Shortly after the news of the new addition, Jonathan and Skylar worked hard to make all the extra money they could to add on to the house. Skylar spent her days painting masterpieces while Jonathan tended the garden and worked toward the next promotion. Soon enough, they added 2 small bedrooms off the living room. They learned their lesson from the last time and decided not to have the baby sleep in their room. Jonathan also welcomed his adult birthday. He didn't make any wishes, instead gave thanks for everything he had. He's a real man. He's a real boy. Everything he had. What a statement coming from someone who used to be so quick to drop big simoleons with every fancy that was tickled. Going from having everything to having nothing forced him to see what life was truly about, and for that he was truly grateful. Yes. This pregnancy was different, not because she never had morning sickness, but because they were free. The last time, they were homeless and frustrated and scared. They had no money, no plan, and no hope. But this time, they had fun. They laughed and joked, danced and played, planned for the future, and all the things that expecting parents did. They made sure to let Maya join in on their excitement while also making time to be alone with each other. Family life was incredible, and Jonathan agreed wholeheartedly that home is where the heart is. I feel like this chapter has like 15,000 endings. It seems like every few paragraphs it like closes, but then it opens up again. I love it. Well, honestly, I didn't know how to put this chapter together because when Maya was born, I was kind of devastated because I'm like, I didn't plan for anything after her. So I just played the game, fulfilling whims here, just playing the game until they had a boy too. So all the pictures were random, like they didn't go in any order, and like I was just snapping stuff I thought was cute, or like faces, and so it took me a long time to write this chapter because like I had to make something out of it so it will make sense. So like I was hitting a brick wall, and I didn't know what to do, and I was scared because like I was running out of time. So finally I was like I looked at all the pictures and I took notes on them. So like these, I put them in like a family life category, and this one, something about Jonathan growing up, and so I wanted to see if there was any themes that could help me. So I finally put all the pictures in like 8 different categories. And then like I was beginning to see a little something, but the whole picture wasn't coming. So I was like, all right, what if I put these categories in order of like how a story could unfold, So let's go back to the top for a minute. So okay, clearly we have to start with the baby. I mean that's where the last chapter dropped off. So there's the baby stuff, but then there's Jonathan's changing attitude. Him, still kind of clinging to the past, but trying to move on to this new thing. So we kind of stay there. So they don't have anything to do because they're broke, so they talk together, and he has to learn how to do stuff. And oh my God, it's so hard. I hate it, but I love it. And then he starts on with this whole I love it thing, and he gets his job back, and he does the lilies, and so I that's how the chapter came about. So that's probably why it keeps ending. Because there was actual boxes of things that I was trying to construct the story with. So take that for what it's worth. They're so cute. Oh my God, I love these guys. All right. Skylar loved to watch Jonathan garden. He was the type of guy that needed to do something that gave his life special meaning. He would still be happy if all he had was his job and family, but it was that extra, those things on the side that really gave him the gumption to go the extra mile. It was almost like an adventure. It was that same fire he had when he owned the restaurant. The way he handled those lilies with such precision and care and pride. It was attractive and telling of how he handled his business and all other areas of his life. Mm-hmm. That's how you keep getting knocked up. The blessed day came, finally, when the child would make itself known. The birth of this child would not be witnessed by the entire world. The world didn't even know it existed. There would be no news story, no decking the halls in celebration of a 10th generation. For unto them a child was born. 2 children, actually. And unto them 2 sons were given. Not an heir, not a spare, just 2 boys. Oh, I still love it. Ah, man. Okay. I am going to read. Why am I even thinking about it? I know exactly what I'm going to read. I think you guys know what I'm going to read too. This chapter still cracks me up. Still. I'm laughing already. God. All right. When Devin got home from school, he found Elena getting dinner ready in the kitchen and sat down at the island. Hi, honey. How was school today? Not fun. Really? Why not? Because I got in trouble. Trouble? What in the world did you do? I didn't do anything. I just asked a question and the teacher said I said something inappropriate. What does that mean, Mommy? Inappropriate means you said something you shouldn't have said. What did you say? That mama voice, man. Were you making toilet jokes again? No, I only do those at recess. We were watching a movie about how baby animals get born, how baby animals are born. There were little duckies and little freezer bunnies, Devin? That's what they look like, Mommy? Okay, then, finish the story. There were little duckies and freezer bunnies and llamas, and they were all having babies. Elena was a little concerned about where the story was going and wondered if she needed to write a note to his teacher about showing graphic content. But she wanted to hear the story out. And the duckies came out of eggs. Then the freezer bunnies were trying to tackle each other, and the teacher said that's where little rabbits come from. I asked her, where do some babies come from? And she said that when mommies and daddies love each other, they play together and make a baby. I said, what kinds of games do they play? She said they play different games, but most of the time they play at night while I'm asleep. I said, I hear my mommy and daddy playing games all the time. I love this child. Oh, no, he didn't. You hear us? How? I mean, when do you hear us? When I get up to get juice when I'm thirsty. The teacher said that was inappropriate. Was that inappropriate, Mommy? I told her I know Mommy and Daddy play games because Mommy is always cheering. Elena was mortified and just wanted to crawl under the covers and die. His inquisitiveness wasn't inappropriate. It was natural, and she didn't want to discourage him after his teacher made him feel so bad. So she quickly took her vegetables and added them to the chili so he couldn't see how red her face was. Look at that face. Do you, Mommy? Do I what, honey? Elena asked, trying to keep a straight face. Although she was mortified, she thought this entire situation was hilarious. She didn't dare turn away from that stove. Do you win the games? OMG. And it just keeps getting worse. Kill me now. You better believe I do, she said under her breath. Hey, family, Roland said as he walked into the kitchen. Something smells good. Oh, thank the watcher. Hey, babe, your son was just telling me a very interesting story he shared with his entire class about the games we play at night. Hey, little man. Hi, Daddy. So what's this about games? He had no idea what he was asking. Look at his face. He's so innocent and clueless. Oh, be careful what you ask around this child, Roland. My teacher said that mommies and daddies play games together at night, and that's where babies came from. So I said, I know my mommy and daddy play games all the time because I hear mommy cheering. Does she win the games, Daddy? He gets up to get juice in the middle of the night, apparently, Elena added. Roland was speechless for a minute, but before he started laughing hysterically, he answered Devin, yes, mommy always wins the game, wins. Elena gave him a look that said, darn right I win. So does that mean you made a baby? If looks could kill. But he's so cute. Yes, he is so cute. Elena? No, we didn't make a baby. I don't think. Let's eat and talk about something else. How did you do on your spelling test today? I did good. I think I missed one word. One word. That's good. That's great, son. So, Devin began again. What does mommy win? I'm sorry? The game. Does mommy get a prize? Oh, yes, Roland said confidently. Should you be encouraging this, babe? Let's talk about, hey, Dev, your birthday is coming up in a couple days. What do you want to do? What does she win, Daddy? Spectacular satisfaction. Oh, that sounds cool. Oh my goodness. See, this chapter always gets me. Always. Okay, well, I have read what I'm supposed to read and made commentary. So that is the end of this first anniversary event. I think tomorrow I am catching you up on what's been going on for the last 2 years, I think. I haven't actually planned this out yet because this is like 2 weeks before you're actually seeing this, but I think that's what I plan to do next. So Stay tuned, enjoy, and I'll catch you guys next time.